Hello, welcome back. Today I have another bourbon that I'd like to review for you guys, and it's a bourbon that one of my favorite bourbons, and it comes from one of my favorite distilleries, and it is considered my house bourbon, meaning it's a bourbon that I can pick up for a relatively good price all the time. It's available anywhere and everywhere, and at any time I go to anywhere and everywhere liquor store. And the bourbon I am referring to is the Wild Turkey 101. The good old Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. So, I am thanking myself now for reviewing the Russell's Reserve 10-year first. The reason why I kind of reviewed that one first is because I didn't have too much in the bottle, so I didn't want to wait too long before reviewing it, because otherwise, the whiskey would have oxidized more and more, and then it wouldn't really be a fair review. But I'm thankful that I reviewed it first, because I mentioned in that review that I prefer other Wild Turkey products over the Russell's Reserve, at least the Russell's Reserve 10-year. So I've tried the Wild Turkey 101 and the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. We'll get into the Rare Breed in another video. But Russell's Reserve had a lot of rye spice forward notes, and typically when I drink a bourbon, I think of a sweeter sort of whiskey, because bourbon's typically on the sweeter side. I never really explored rye spice forwarded bourbons, and that's why Russell's Reserve just wasn't really my favorite, and probably because just it's an avenue I've not gone down in terms of the world of whiskey. So I usually prefer bourbons on the sweeter side. Now, that being said, on the label here, and if you look it up on Wild Turkey's website, one of the characteristics of Wild Turkey 101 is its high rye content. And the spice is here, spoiler alert, but it's not as dominant as it is in the Russell's Reserve 10-year. And that's something I appreciate coming out of a bottle like this. I actually picked up Wild Turkey 101 because another very well-known whiskey YouTube reviewer, Bruzel, recommended it, and he's even made videos saying that it's kind of the best for bang for your buck bourbon that you can get pretty much anywhere and everywhere, and I agree. So let's get right into the review. So, as always, I will read whatever's on the label other than the government warning about alcohol consumption. So if there's a story or description on the label, which is right here, I will read it off for you guys. So, Wild Turkey 101, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. You got Master Distiller Jimmy Russell and his little signature right here. As the name implies, this is a 50.5% ABV by 101 proof bottle of bourbon. So, for more than 60 years, legendary master distiller Jimmy Russell has been crafting Wild Turkey 101 one way, the right way. With a high rye content, this iconic bourbon is perfectly aged for up to 6 to 8 years in American oak barrels with the deepest char for more character. We bottle at 101 proof, and only once it reaches its full complex flavor of caramel, vanilla, toffee, and spice. As Jimmy says, like the Kentucky River, Wild Turkey 101 is mighty, bold, and takes its own sweet time. Okay, so I will be honest, in my tasting notes, I don't really taste toffee on the palate, but everything else that it mentions there, I do. So, let's go ahead, get my Glencairn. This is a cork off bottle. Pour us a bit of a dram. Okay, should be good enough. Okay, start with the nose. Yeah, so immediately the nose is really sweet in terms of the vanilla notes, but it almost is a mix of vanilla and oak. So like a sweet vanilla and a sweet oak. It's very pleasant. And right behind that, or maybe in between those two notes, you pick up some nice cinnamon spice, which I'm assuming is influenced by the rye that's in here. So, but the oak is very much present. You can pick up that note quite easily. I wonder if I picked that strong oak in the Russell's Reserve. Let me see here. So in the nose I did definitely. Actually no, throughout. Though for a 10-year-old, it didn't really pop up too much in the finish as I would have liked, but I do feel like it's weird for Russell's Reserve being a 10-year bourbon. This is between 6 and 8 years. I feel like I detect more oak here. Nothing against Russell's Reserve, but again, there's some more things in this bottle of bourbon that I appreciate more than Russell's Reserve 10. So yeah, that's the nose. Vanilla, cinnamon, spice, and a good profound oak. And again, if this is your first time watching one of my reviews, I do take note. I do taste obviously the bourbon before I review it. Come on camera and review it for you guys. Write it down in my notebook. So in case there's some notes that I, kind of forgotten off the top of my head, I can refer to it. If there's any notes that I've detected that I have not written down, I will bring them up. But pretty much the nose is kind of what I have written down. Sweet vanilla, sweet oak, very profound oak, and cinnamon spice. So let's go ahead and review the palate. Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. So for the palate, you're immediately hit with sweet vanilla, and it's much more sweeter than it is in the Russell's Reserve 10. It's not overpoweringly sweet, but it's sweet. The caramel note, yeah. So the caramel note, I didn't detect caramel in the nose, but it is here in the palate, and it's not as sweet as it is in the vanilla, as a vanilla note, but it's there. And followed by the sweet notes, you pretty much get spice in the middle. That rye spice. Can't really tell if it's specifically cinnamon like it was in the nose that I picked up. And then just throughout the rest of the palate is just that wonderful oak note, just accompanied by the sweetness of the vanilla and caramel. And again, you get a spice in between, but it's not as powerful or not as dominant as it would be, as it is in the Russell's Reserve 10, which I appreciate. So there's a little bit more focus on sweet and oak notes than there is of rye spice. So for the finish, if you're not used to higher proof bourbons, this may go down a little bit harsh. For me, it depends on the sip. Every other sip's different. but it does bite with flavor a tiny bit, and I don't want to go ahead and review that phrase that I use all the time. Check out my introduction video for a little bit more detail what I mean by that phrase, but it goes down a little bit with a little bit of burn, accompanied by some pretty good notes. So, obviously not smooth as in terms of going down like water, but it's going to go down potentially with a little bit of bite. The finish is kind of medium to long in terms of its length. And you get pretty much just punches. I mean, the oak just literally punches you, and I appreciate it. The oak like comes out and dominates in the finish, and then you do get a little bit of spice, but again, it's not as dominant as it is in Russell's Reserve 10. Little kisses of spice, and then towards the end you get a very nice citrus taste. It's almost like orange zest. Yeah, medium to long in terms of the length, kind of bites with flavor slightly. Just punches of oak in the finish, and then some of the spice carries over from the nose, and then kind of towards the end of the finish you get some very pleasant citrus notes, and I believe it was orange zest that I'm picking up. So I 100% recommend Wild Turkey 101. Depending on where you live, you can get it for $25 to $30 a bottle. And since it's my house bourbon, I usually just buy the 175 liter. I kind of refill a 750 bottle with it. I have two 750 bottles, so I just kind of go ahead and fill those both up. Just cheaper that way. Fantastic in old fashions. If you are into old fashions, this bourbon is absolutely fantastic. It has that high enough proof, that complexity, the nice oak notes, especially if you're doing like a smoked old fashioned, you smoke your old fashions. It is absolutely amazing. So, Wild Turkey 101, one of my favorite bourbons, especially for the price. The profile that you get, available anywhere and everywhere. And again, good price and great drinking neat, great drinking on the rocks, and fantastic in cocktails. So, this is Wild Turkey 101. Definitely recommend it. And that's about it. See ya.